Anushri. Hello everyone. So, firstly, ignore my face. I just woke up, so it's quite puffy. 2025 was a tough reading year. A tough reading year in the sense that I could not find many books that I got completely hooked onto. So that's why it led to me just not reading as much this year. But it is what it is. So, firstly, going through the month of Jan, we have Remnants of Filth, Volume 1. I really did not expect to start last year with this book, but that was the time when this book was like really popular, so I was like, why not just start with that? So, Remnants of Filth, Volume 1, it was a really good entry into the world building of this novel. I was entranced by it. I surely wanted to keep binging it more. So yeah, I don't have much to say. It was just a really good book. I love Moran and Gumang. I love Moran and Gumang. Okay, so the next book I read in Jan is Heaven Official's Blessing Volume 6. Now, this series I was continuing from 2024. So, I got to the 6th volume last year. And this volume I remember vividly because I read it before my exam. I shouldn't have done that. It was very traumatizing. I remember this book had the confession scene. It was 10 on 10. Spectacular. Give me the next book. I was exactly like that. I loved it. Also, the notes I have here are... Firstly, the scene with Shilyan getting, you know what scene I'm talking about. That scene was fucking traumatizing, and I read that part just before my exam. I don't know why I did that, but it left me traumatized. I really don't want to see it animated now. The notes I have here are on Mushing's character. I know that many people love Mushing in this fandom. I really don't get why though. I understand him, but I can't help but think that Fengshin was put in the same spot as him, but he just handled it so much better than Mushing ever did. Like, I feel like Mushing has just used the past as an excuse to continue to act like an asshole. I'm really not fond of Mushing. Fengshin though, that's my baby. I love him. And yeah, fuck Juno. Okay, so the next is volume 7th of Heaven Official's Blessing. I remember this novel being particularly more of the action since we already had the confession scene, so now they were finally together. So now they were just fighting the world together. So yeah, I loved it. Also, the part where Shilian and Hwacheng just kept using needing spiritual energy or power as an excuse to keep making out in front of everyone. That was so funny. I love that part. Also, fuck Juno. Okay, so the last volume of Heaven Official's Blessing, volume 8. I thoroughly loved this book. I was actually traumatized by how I thought it was gonna end, but I am so glad it did not end like that because it would have been just really not good for my mental health. I love Mo Xiang Tongshu. I love her series. I think Grandmaster's Modao Sushi is the only one I haven't read yet. I've read only the first volume of it and I did love it. I do plan to read the rest of the volumes. Talking about Heaven Official's Blessing, though, I think every work she writes is just 10 on 10, but I think this really might be like top. Like, I just really loved Heaven Official's Blessing. It was so my type, like all of the dynamics that it had. I just love it. What else can I say? I love it. Now I'm just waiting for the series to get animated. I love this series, guys, in case I didn't already say that before. Okay, so the next book I read in Jan is King of Wrath. To be honest, this book I just wanted to read because I wanted to read some romance, straight romance, which I hadn't in a while. And to be honest, I just wanted to read some smut. So I thought, since this is a really popular series, this would be a good book. It really wasn't anything much. Like, I feel like I could have stuck to AO3 as well. Um, yeah, I don't think the book was really all that good. It was okay. Like, I don't get why it's so popular. I feel like this is something you could easily find on AO3 or like Wattpad or something. So you don't really need to read this. You can just read some smut. Okay, so in February, the first book I read was Remnants of Filth Volume 2. Now, this was the novel, or you can say volume, I was waiting for, where I had reached the point of being obsessed. I don't know how Meadburn does it. I absolutely love her. Yeah, I was hooked onto this series since this novel. Okay, I remember this quote I had. I remember what they were talking about. I don't really want to spoil it. And there was this quote. Gumang was asking Moshi, like, you look like you're in pain. Like, it really hurts. And he couldn't understand why he looked like that. And then he was like hating me. It hurts you. And that just got me. That got me. I was absolutely obsessed with this series by that point. So yeah, Remnants of Filth. Read it, guys. Okay, so after this, I think I just went on a binge reading Remnants of Filth. So this is Remnants of Filth Volume 3. The notes I have on this one is that I don't know how to describe it, but when Midburn writes, I feel like, whoever's perspective she's writing, I feel like I am actually subjected to it, like I am actually going through it, and it just really, really gets me. I don't understand how she does it. Like in this book, I think this is the first volume in which we got a lot of Moshi's POVs. So it pierced my heart. It kept piercing it. I just did not understand why I felt so hurt, and I know the plot is good, but I think Meadburn's writing is at the end of the day what does it for me. It's just so good. Also, the monologue of Moshi's at the end of this book broke me. Okay, so now we are in March. I continued my binging of Remnants of Filth. This is the volume 4. I'm just looking at the notes I've written, and it's literally like, what the fuck? Like, thing is, I'm really trying hard to remember what I felt about the book then, even looking at the notes. So Gumang's memories are back in this volume 4. In volume 4 we finally get the smut scene. First smut scene. Yes. I was like, Meatpan, you're God. So I've written that this volume was extremely fucking bingeable. Yeah, I remember that. It was like just non-stop plot. Like, firstly we got Moshi, then we had like the confrontation between Moshi and Gumang, then we had the smut scene, then we had Gumang's memories were back. It was just constant. This volume was the best one yet, I think. Okay, so Remnants of Filth volume 5th. I think this volume was pretty traumatizing, I think, because we were finally being lovey-dovey, but we were also losing memories. So it was just a lot of emotions. Also, fuck the Emperor. Like, I hate these people. Also, Murong, Lian and Gumang are related. That was a jaw drop moment for me. I really did not see that coming. Okay, so I started the month of April with Sunrise on the Reaping. In case anyone didn't know here, I'm a big Hunger Games enthusiast. Like, Hunger Games is primarily what got me into reading. It will always be like in the top spots of my favorite series of all time. So talking about Sunrise on the Reaping, this book was fucking heartbreaking. Like, us, like the Hunger Games fans, were always hoped for this book, but to be honest, I didn't have any hopes that she was ever going to write this book, but she did, and what a delight it was. It was just so good. especially like the epilogue of this book had me dying. Like I literally had tears in my eyes. I expected to get emotional, let's be honest, but I did not expect it to like get me again, like how the previous Hunger Games books did. The epilogue, man, it's just fucking heartbreaking. Like I don't know what else to say. So yeah, Hunger Games will always have a special place in my heart. I feel like I will always look, YouTube videos of people reading it or watching it for the first time. Read Hunger Games. I think Sunrise on the Reaping was, at least for me, easily the best book of last year. So yeah. Okay, so Remnants of Filth Volume 6. This volume was fucking unhinged because you just got so much lore about all these different characters, and for a second I had completely forgotten about what had happened to Gumang in the previous volumes. Also, I can't believe they really killed him. Like I had actually just started to like him and then they killed him off. Classic Meatbin. Also, fuck the Emperor. Okay, so Human Acts is a book that I had been wanting to read for a while, especially because Namjoon recommended it, and then also because I wanted to know more about this subject matter. But I feel like I did not end up liking this book as much because it just wasn't what I imagined what it will be like and what I would get from it. So, as traumatizing as it was, I do plan on rereading it someday because I feel like you need to be in that headspace, like in isolation kind of, to completely get this book and what the author is trying to convey. So yeah. Okay, so you've read Sam. This is the only book I read in May, which I also DNF'd. Now wait, I know I DNF'd it, but the only reason I am including it in my list is because I read like 90% of it. So I read like 90% of it, and the rest 10% I just couldn't get past. I thought this book was really slow and really boring. I do not get why it's so popular. I feel like I have read better books compared to this, which are based on this subject matter. So I really don't get why this book is so popular. It was really boring. I just couldn't get through it. I did not like it at all. Okay, Remnants of Filth Volume 7, the conclusion of this series. I did not like it. I, especially after completing Heaven Official's Blessing, like the series which was so satisfying this year, Remnants of Filth ending was not satisfying to me at all. And also this book is like only like the starting 10% of this book is like actual plot, and the rest of it is just like epilogue. I didn't like it. I feel like it didn't have, that big showdown or something big which happens at the end of a series, which I wanted from this, and it had potential for it, but it did not have. All in all, I really loved this series. I love Kumang and Moshi. I loved it. It's just the last volume and the ending which I did not like as much, but yeah, the series I absolutely adore. Okay, so in July, actually I started reading this book in July and I ended it in November. So yeah, that's that. A Little Life, this book has just so much discourse on the internet, so I always wanted to read it, and I have to say I am on the side of the internet that likes this book, not in the sense that we like the subject matter in this book, but I feel like many people just did not get the book at all. So yeah, I think more people should read it, to be honest, and I kind of feel bad saying it because just how traumatizing it can be for someone, through personal experience. But yeah, I'll remember reading this book. I also have annotated like the shit out of it. Also, I don't feel like it is trauma porn as well, because I feel like people just don't get that something that is trauma porn for you, someone out there is actually going through with it. So I don't really get calling it a trauma porn. Also, that the book promotes suicide, like I feel like if you read the book you would know that it's actually doing the opposite of that. So I really don't get the things people have to say about this book or the criticism of it. I mean, criticism is valid. Some things I absolutely agree with, but I feel like most of the things people just did not get. Then in November, I read Pretty Girls, and oh my god, what a thriller this was. I feel like I read a thriller after a really long time, and Pretty Girls really hooked me on. Like, I was just turning pages. and I read it pretty quick. I think I was just really into it. I was like fully immersed. Um, this is also one of the top books, at least for me, last year, which I read. So yeah, I think more people should definitely read it. It was really good. Okay, so now we're in the month of December. Someone actually recommended The Good Daughter, like if you liked Pretty Girls, but I feel like this was, it wasn't like Pretty Girls at all. This one was really slow, which I hate for a thriller. I mean, it wasn't like really slow. At the end of the day, it's a thriller, so stuff was always happening, but nothing was moving. Like the book wasn't moving, even though stuff was happening. So yeah, I wasn't a fan of this one. Pachinko was also something I had wanted to read for a long time. Again, my experience with reading this book was kind of similar to Human Acts, where it wasn't what I imagined it would be or what I would get from this book. So that kind of dulled my review a bit, but I still thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was a much better read than Human Acts, at least for me. The next book I read is Circe. Circe was also something I had nothing to read for a really long time, so I finally read it this year. I feel like the writing is absolutely immersive, like Madeline Miller does it again. I loved the Song of Achilles, so I did not know if I would get the same writing in this book, but she was consistent with this. The writing was absolutely beautiful. I just I just love her writing. What can I say? Um, the only complaint I have is I was reading the audiobook also, so the narrator like kept jumping up and down, like in her voice, her volume, the volume of her voice. So it was like one time she would be like whispering and I could not hear shit, and then if I would increase the volume, she would suddenly be like screaming in my ear. So that was the only complaint I had. Otherwise, I loved this book. The next book I read is The Woman in Me by Britney Spears. Now, this book also I had wanted to read for a really long time. I feel like I keep saying that regarding every book, but in December I mostly read books which I really wanted to read for a long time and hadn't. So yeah, The Woman in Me, I read it in like some hours actually, not even a day. It was really bingeable, 10 on 10. Love Britney, read it. The next book is 1984, which again was something I wanted to read for a really long time. This book, this book, this book. I feel like everyone should read this book. I don't know why more people aren't reading it yet, especially considering the times we are living in today. Read it, guys. Please read it. It was. I knew I would feel shocked reading this book because of the similarities it had, even though it's written such a long time ago. But this book had me flabbergasted. That's why I'm like, why aren't more people reading it? Read 1984, guys. Please read it. Animal. Now, this book was also something which was not what I expected. It was actually a complete 180 of what I was expecting. I was expecting a more thriller sort of vibe, but it was more of like a literary fiction. I still enjoyed it nonetheless, but I do feel like I want to read something in this concept which is more thriller like instead of literary fiction. Okay, the last book I read is Ahalya's Awakening. In case you didn't anyone know, I'm a big mythology enthusiast, especially Indian mythology. So this was also something I wanted to read. It was a good book. I felt like I did have some complaints. I feel like at times the author would just use thesaurus for some words to just make it seem more polished or something, and some of the words were really off-putting. Like if you would read sentences and then suddenly there was like this unheard word and I would be like, what the fuck? Like, yeah. Another complaint I had was like the epilogue. I feel like really dragged it out, and at one point it started feeling like something the author just wanted to tell instead of a conversation between the characters. So it felt really disconnecting to me. But yeah, overall a good read, kind of bingeable. So yeah, that was my 2025 reading wrap up. I did not read as many books as I wanted to last year, sadly. But I'm not that sad about it. I plan to read as many books this year. So yeah, I hope I complete my reading goal this year. Bye.